Yeah.
I would watch the massacre scene at the end of this movie 100 times and not feel a thing, but watching just the shot where they're shaving their heads to get ready for the game as a kind of ritual, and the guy is like, you know, they're all huddled around each other, pun intended, because they're a football team, and the guys who've already shaved their heads are just going, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, not just on a loop.
Yeah.
And the guy getting shaved, he starts like smacking the sides of his head to like amp himself up. And it's just like, that is so deeply uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
To watch.
Yeah. So many of the football scenes, because like kind of at a pivotal moment towards the end of the second act, there's this big football game that Rachel winds up going to where she watches her boo catch the game-winning touchdown. So many of these scenes with the guys, like where they're like losing in the game and there's like these long shots across their like faces, like, you know, sitting on the bench with their all their heads are shaved and buzz cutted completely. And it's like, it gets into like almost Full Metal Jacket territory, I feel like.
Yes.
Of just these guys have dehumanized themselves. They've been so completely broken down by this that they are not, that you can't hold them to a human standard anymore.
Which is what I think is kind of fascinating about how this is directed, because just what we described on paper, as we described it, you've seen that in so many other, you know, teen films of this time. Varsity Blues, like, you know, that was just the kind of modus operandi of how you depicted high school football.
Yeah.
So it comes down to how Kat Shea and the cinematographer, who I wanted to call out as well, Donald M. Morgan, who also did Seven. The way that they shoot those scenes somehow puts us in the psychology of those characters. It's not just depicting it as ritual, as, you know, accepted, this is how high school is. It's showing the same exact thing, but in a way that either the performances are amplified or the shot choice is showing it in a less glorified way or a more predatory way. I did notice that especially the head shaving scene is kind of shot from below.
Yeah.
And it's intercut with, as I said, one of the football players is always filming stuff on a video camera.
There's always one of those guys in a late 90s, early 2000s movies. is the guy holding the camera all the time guy. But
the camera is always low, and the fact that the guys are like screaming and doing this kind of predatory behavior, and you cut that with the handheld jostling around style of the video camera, makes it feel like a horror movie and you're watching a prey. Like, I'm wondering if that adds a sort of psychological dimension to how these characters are being depicted.
Yeah. It feels visceral. You feel like you have to kind of like, you feel like you're there in that moment yourself, and because you're not huffing what these guys are huffing, it's really scary to see.
Right. If you look at the spectrum, it's like a movie like Rudy will put you into what it feels like to be in that experience in a kind of celebratory way. Sure. You show a movie like Varsity Blues, and it just shows it in a kind of picturesque way that's like, okay, I don't connect with that, but I understand what it is. And then you get this on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is putting you on the outside of it and seeing like, this behavior is no different than animals.
Yeah. There's so many different ways to depict football and make people feel different ways about it.
Subscribe to Movie Memory Machine for new forgotten movies every other Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts.